the old days, but on
Yep.
steroids, right?
Yep.
When you think about GitHub Copilot, or when you think about Cursor, for example, fantastic platform, right?
Yep.
But those platforms kind of require that technical knowledge to be there. They help you write code faster, but if you think about it, that family of tools is not actually helping you think about what to build and how to build it, right? It's just helping you do it. Get out of this one a little bit. I'm going to say, instead of going for a particular podcast or a book, I would probably go for the space around MCP right now. I mean, I feel like that is something that I've been reading and kind of listening. And the more I read and listen, the more it's kind of making me feel like, oh my God, like this is going to
be huge.
This is going to be huge. I have experience being in product sales as well. And even in those scenarios, like asking the right questions, even as a salesperson, is sometimes so difficult, right? You go in with a script, but then that's just never what it is.
It's terrible when you're trying to stick to a script. You have to have that creative. Well, it depends what you're selling, right? All right. So today I'm very excited. I have Umar Khan with me, and he is from Code Ninja. And I'm very excited to have you on the call. We're going to have some fun discussion today around AI in the physical world, how it's affecting the workplace, and I can't wait to see where this conversation goes. So, just quick introduction. Do you mind introducing yourself a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So, Phil, thanks so much for having me. My name's Umar. As you mentioned, I'm part of the Code Ninja founding team. We're essentially an American Middle Eastern company. We've got our global delivery and distribution center based in Austin, Texas, with our regional headquarters based in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, with presence on ground in Abu Dhabi and Dubai as well.
Nice.
And just really focused on building on the incredible technology ecosystem that resides in the Middle East.
Oh, super. I was just in Dubai 2.5 weeks ago.
Nice. How was it?
Yeah. It's growing so fast. It's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know if the rest of the Middle East is growing like that, but Dubai is a new city every 6 months.
Yeah. And I feel like Riyadh, actually, in Saudi Arabia, is also growing exponentially, especially around AI and technology with their their Vision 2030 mandate.
How's that going?
Yeah, it's been super interesting. So a lot of my work is with prospects in Saudi in general, and because of that, countrywide initiative, we're seeing a lot of I would say an incredible amount of demand for AI solutions, whether that's as you mentioned earlier in the physical space, whether it's AI for infrastructure, or it's just streamlining our digital infrastructure. So it's amazing to see the kinds of things that people are looking to do now with that.
Yeah, and I can't wait to kind of dive into some of that, because where you're looking to literally have this city built up around you guys.
Yeah.
How to build that from the ground up in a serious way, right? Like a lot of us, maybe we're responding to AI and we're trying to figure out how to, bring into our cities and to make life kind of better and easier, and waiting for Elon or somebody else to create some nice robots for us so we don't have to do laundry anymore. But you got a 4.5 window, depending on how serious you guys are about that 2030 goal.
Yeah. No, that's exactly, that's very well put, because honestly, I mean, you see use cases that are like extremely varied, and that just shows the kind of urgency there is. The other day, I was in a conversation with this guy who manages a chain of like 20-25 restaurants in the region. And we were just having a chat similar to this one. And he kind of goes, well, what can we do with AI? I'm trying to solve a problem of quality assurance in what my pizza looks like when it's finished. What can I do to fix that? But then I also want to do something with AI. So, I could sense the kind of urgency in his voice that he just wants to kind of do something with AI.
And he found a good use case.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was, and we walked him through some of the work we've done around with Vision AI around, especially, compliance, whether it's PPE assurance or PPE compliance, or productivity tracking for employees, or in your warehouses and such, or if it's just looking at a pizza at the end of when it comes out of the oven and using Vision AI to kind of check the boxes of how good or not good it should look. So
watch your hands coming out of the bathroom. How much water?
Exactly. There you go.
What does the visual look like in the food? How long is the temperature of the refrigerator is maintained? Right. All this. I can only imagine. Oh yeah. Restaurants are so much fun. In 25 restaurants, come on. Anything you do in a small way is going to have huge effects.
100%.
25. 20, can you imagine 20? Like, it sounds easy, right? But if you go to like a big mall, right, like a medium-sized mall, like, okay, Dubai, that's different, right? But like a normal mall, 25 businesses is a lot.
Yeah.
You're going to mostly fill up that mall with 25, right?
Yeah.
So he has like a village.
Exactly. So the possibilities are endless. And I mean, that's just one use case we're talking about, right? So, yeah.
Good for you. That's an awesome one. That's fun.
Yeah.
So is this something you're still in conversation with, or is this something you're working on currently?
Yeah, this is somebody that we're relatively approaching. Well, we're getting closer to approaching like a kind of a proof of concept stage with them. So it's interesting work, getting the opportunity to talk to people who are just, again, like I mentioned, looking to do something with AI. It's fun place to be. Yeah,
good for you. Like once you land this contract, right? And I know you're going to, because you're a badass. And once you do, right, come back to me. Let me know, because I want to hear like as much as you can share about the plan publicly to have some fun with the story.
No, for sure, 100%.
Nice, appreciate that. So this is an example of essentially physical AI based off of a restaurant line, and if we expand that into a growing city, right? So now we're looking at, I guess, we're tying into construction, we're tying into resource management, blockchain, to make sure things are getting delivered where it's going. I'm just imagining. We're looking at how long it takes to lead up to what's the lead time on things, and tracking that probably automatically with AI now to see if we're getting on or off off schedule. I mean, you probably have you applied this, right? Because I'm just playing with it now myself. Have you just raw models, like raw AI models, and feeding data into it? Are they currently able to say, hey, it looks like this is on track, looks like this is getting ahead of behind track, or this is ahead? Here's how you can kind of level things out, not to cause problems or to, run into actual problems because you're too far ahead of schedule or too far behind schedule?
Yeah. And I love that you asked that question, because that's also something that we've been exploring, actually. And the concept here is taking AI for what it is, but then kind of looking at it from a situational intelligence point of view, because what you just described is beyond what you would imagine regular AI can do, especially raw models, right? But that's something that we are exploring, thinking about it from a situational intelligence point of view, taking inspiration from defense systems, looking at how they respond to different scenarios based on the information that's provided to them. Obviously, those are heavily trained models, but this is more on the exploration stage, but that's definitely something that we are looking into currently, how we can kind of map out this concept of situational intelligence using AI to different use cases across physical infrastructure, whether that's, large scale events or meeting, a deadline for something. So again, the spectrum kind of goes from all the way from there to all the way here. So it's definitely something that we are exploring. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I've been using AI probably for like 8 months now in a fairly productive way to help me brainstorm and to do architecture for web apps, mobile apps, and just trying to troubleshoot and play devil's advocate with me. And I've seen, like, if I just say, hey, here's a criteria, here's an engineering process, it comes up with like decent solutions. But when I'm like, okay, good, I give it a hug and all that. And because when it's rolling around with machine guns, I want it to remember me, of course.
Yep.
Right. but the I don't generally find that it creates that good solutions most of the time. But if you come back at it and you give it some guidance, I find that I get to a very high quality advanced solution that's well thought out, way faster than I could just by my own thinking through it or referencing other examples or other documentation. Just it's almost like 10 times faster, maybe more on some cases when you go through it and you really push back on it. But if you rely on it too much, it tends to be like garbage. Not garbage, right? Solid, but not exceptional. Just kind of like, me. Man.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. And in the early days of LLMs, I used to speak with some of my buddies who were also into the AI space. And we used to talk about how, we had just started using those things and we were like, just discussing the kinds of output that we're getting. And we kind of came to the conclusion, which is pretty cliche now, but, we used to say, it's basically, excuse me for saying this, but it's crap in, crap out, right? So it's only going to be as good as what you can give it, the context. And I think that's the most important piece when you are in fact interacting with AI, whether that's how you're interacting with AI rather is the context that you give it, whether that's through training or prompting or what have you. Phil, I'm actually really glad you mentioned, using AI to kind of get you off the ground when it comes to developing, building an application or a platform. So something that we at Code Ninja are very much focused on, and that's actually a big part of my role right now, is looking after the product side for one of our enterprise products, right? And the idea is that it's part of our larger mission, which is to resist inequality by enabling access to opportunity. We essentially invested in building our own developer AI tools, one of which is Hyper. And I'm really happy I'm here today at this time because we're actually just on the cusp of a public release.
So you can give us a little bit of hints about it?
Yeah. So
you already dropped the name. Okay, you already dropped that name.
Yeah, we did. So I think the best way to think of Hyper, I would say two things. It's the answer to the question, can every enterprise be given a starting piece of software or a foundational piece of software, like scaffolding, boilerplate, and use AI to customize it, right? And that's basically where we're going with Hyper. Now, that was the foundational piece of it. But what this has kind of opened us up to is, last week I was reading this piece on MCP, Model Context Protocol, right?
Yeah.
And
just real quickly for a lot of people, explain how that's connecting other systems together.
Yeah, for sure. So MCP is essentially a set of rules or permissions that allows you to communicate with your internal software through what we are calling the last interface. So I was having a discussion with our CTO earlier this week, and we were just discussing how UI is so important. And we were discussing or debating rather, and he was like, what out of the daily apps that you use, which are some of the UIs that you like the best? And I was like, honestly, that's a very difficult question.
Yep.
Right. I can like aspects of the UI. I can like the design of it. I can like how it looks. I can like how one particular module or feature works. But in my head, I don't have the perfect UI, right?
And by perfect UI, you mean like Messenger or Slack or Microsoft, the entire universe of Microsoft, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Teams.
Whatever. Right?
Teams is a great way to say the universe of Microsoft.
Yeah. But I think that one thing that we can all agree on is the world has kind of silently come to the conclusion that everyone's comfortable using natural language to communicate, like texting, right?
Yep.
And that's the way LLMs work. So it's natural language. It's super easy. It's intuitive. You just talk to it.
That's why people pick it up so fast, and it just became like talking to your kids.
So yeah, that's a great way to put it. So because sometimes you do get frustrated with your LLMs as well.
Right? It's like trying to explain physics to a 5-year-old.
Yep, exactly. So the idea here is to use that UI, that natural language, that intuitive way to interact with software to actually communicate with layers and layers of internal software that you have running in your own enterprise. And I was looking at some of the companies that have already kind of released their MCP readiness. And since I'm a sales guy, HubSpot is a great example.
Yep.
So HubSpot recently announced that they are MCP ready. And what that means is that I can now go into Claude from Anthropic, and I can go ahead and I can communicate with Claude, have it
right through HubSpot.
Exactly. Have it work as an MCP server in the background and have Claude essentially create a dashboard for me or run a report for me. I don't need to do any of that manually.
Yep.
Right. And that's just insane if you think about it.
Oh, it's insane, right? Just for everybody else to understand this, we used to have to take the APIs that HubSpot would give us if they decided to give us good ones in the first place. And because it's hard to develop APIs, right? There's security, there's all kinds of stuff that has to go through it. They have version control. It's torture to develop an open API. But now they said basically everybody is really saying, you know what? APIs can go to hell. We're just going to let, sorry for the way I communicate.
No, you're good.
Right. Thank you. But we're just going to let basically AIs talk to each other. And in our backends, the AI is going to essentially, the system going to loosely work with how our internal APIs are working. We're going to have some level of access that our internal AIs can do. And you either can speak right to it, or you can have your AI take over and be an agent.
Yeah. And I'm really happy you mentioned APIs, because if you think about it, traditionally APIs don't have context, right? They have I think of them as like connectors, right? Essentially.
Yeah, literally all this.
Yeah. And if you want to know what an API does, it doesn't have the ability to communicate directly with the system, with whatever it is running in the back end, to tell it that, hey, this is what I can do. This is like my set of capabilities. But when it comes to MCP, that AI can actually communicate with the server. So you don't have to give it that additional context. It's intelligent enough to know the context and know its limits in terms of what it can and cannot do. So I mean, that in itself is it's a game changer, right?
Yeah.
I
Doesn't it
don't
change it? You can all of a sudden give access. You can take your app, thanks to Hyper now, in a couple days, and tie it into your infrastructure, right? And you can build a systems way faster than you can ever before.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I'm so excited to see you guys Hyper.
No, it's you know, it's been super interesting working on it. It's basically helping, and the way we kind of position it is, you know, there's three sort of existing buckets, if you will, in the current landscape of dev tools. The first one being actual pure dev tools that are kind of IntelliSense from the old days, but on steroids, right? When you think about GitHub Copilot, or when you think about Cursor, for example, fantastic platform, right? But those platforms kind of require that technical knowledge to be there. They help you write code faster, but if you think about it, that family of tools is not actually helping you think about what to build and how to build it, right? It's just helping you do it. So those are the traditional dev tools in that first bucket. The second one is everybody's favorite, you know, the no-code platforms for citizen developers. I'm not a software engineer by profession or qualification, but I can go on to Lovable today and I can make, you know, my own application or website.
You can make an amazing prototype and go really far with that.
Exactly. So you have your Lovable, your replets, your Airtables, all of those good things. But the thing there is they're focused towards democratizing software creation, right? But they trade off control and flexibility and production readiness for accessibility. And those are things that developers, like actual developers, are craving, right? They don't want to stop coding. They want to code. So then,
and there's a good reason, right? So just to play devil's advocate for a second. And I'm going to go both ways on this one. Just having the MCP to be able to have communication between the back end and, you know, and the systems, it's nice, but there's constraints on speed, on throughputs, on how it's delivered. Consistency is going to be an issue. So it's really like, if you, in my mind, when I think of it, I'm thinking of like really two AIs talking to each other, or me talking to an AI at the minimum. With APIs, I'm looking at that as being something that's more structured. I know what I'm going to get. It's going to be consistent every time. It's going to be fast. It should be fast, right? It should be for a large amount of data. And it should have this kind of efficiency concept in mind, because nowadays we're getting so good at having the flexibility of how we receive certain protocols, but we sometimes forget, we do need to have mass information. We do need to have organized, methodical processes. And just like you were saying, developers don't want to let go of that whole programming experience. There's still that place for it, because still, at least for now, and probably for at least another year, I don't know more, but at least for another year, you're not going to get that efficiency out of LLMs.
No, that's very true. That's very true. Which is why that third bucket still exists, right? And Retool, for example, one of the most, you know, popular low-code platforms that exist. Retool has done amazingly, right? And that third bucket, they're essentially offering the way David Hsu, the co-founder, love to hear him talk, by the way. He talks about it in a way that's super easy to understand. So he says, you know, we want to get you Lego blocks almost of software that you don't have to recreate again and again. So they give you like drag and drop tools, and they make the entire process of creating an application or a software super intuitive, super easy. At the same time, they do give you the flexibility and the developer experience that those devs are kind of craving. And that's kind of where hyper sits in most cases. However, we're kind of pushing that third bucket further because we're layering. Number one, we're layering AI native intelligence on top of a low code foundation.
Yep.
And we're helping teams start with, structure, not just speed, like you mentioned. But the best part about what we're doing here is that developers want control, ownership, and flexibility.
Okay.
So when you do actually build your application or your internal software through Hyper, you're able to generate the code and take it offline and do whatever you want with it.
So it's not like Firebase. No hate against Firebase. I love Firebase, right?
Yeah.
But you start using Firebase, and God bless you trying to get off of it.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. But I mean, it's essentially not a black box, right? It gets you from 0 to 70 to 80%. But then the outcome of it, it's all yours. So you can do whatever you like
whatever
with it.
You want with it.
Outside of Hyper. Yeah.
Nice.
Outside of Hyper. Yeah.
Good for you guys. This is very exciting. Yeah, and there's a place in the world for this. So I'm glad to see this coming. And I even see it like doing like 1.5 buckets worth of work without probably a lot of effort.
Yeah. No, it's I'm super excited. I'm having we're in the trenches these days, so you can imagine that it's that time where it's almost the final push and things are starting to shape up really nicely, and we're excited to show it to you.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. What do you think? Another week, 2 weeks, a month? When do I get to see this? Come on. I can't take. I'm not good for anticipation. I'm like Trump. Come on, I got to see it.
No, for sure. So it's going to be this month. We are looking at probably a couple of weeks, and we should be off to the races.
Good for you. Once you get that going, ping me. I want to see it. I want to be one of the early guys to see it. This is going to be some fun. Yeah. It's so important nowadays because it's we're diverging from the classical architect engineering process where you used to have to be like really have some good devs on your team to create something that within 2 to 3 months or even 6 months, right? It wasn't that long ago. It would take 6 months to create something decent to test if your business would work. Now you can test your things with your business in 2 weeks. You can have something you can go out and test with, and to start not just doing all these surveys and questionnaires and stuff like we used to have to do is like go talk to 10 people. Now you can put together a project and go talk to them and have them something just right there in their hands rather than trying to you can do it so fast you can not even understand your idea, right? Yeah. Which is maybe a bad thing, but I love it because for entrepreneurs, it's not for entrepreneurs, but for productpreneurs, right? That haven't gone through the whole process before and they have that beautiful idea. It's going to help them get over that learning curve way faster and 100%. To see if they should spend their money on getting to the next stage. They're just going to have to realize that at least for now, they have to realize that they're going to have to throw away that whole thing and start over. So just be careful what you build on top of so that you have room for the flexibility afterwards.
100%. No, that's a great point. And you said it, right? I mean, getting to what the outcome of an idea needs to be. Because I mean, nowadays, if you think about it, like ideas are the moat, right? Execution has become so commoditized today that the quality of an idea is the true differentiator. And that's what really gets you over the line. But when it comes to, like you mentioned, needing to have really strong devs in your team and standing behind you and helping you build something incredible, it's also really meant to focus on bringing those complex software development and AI software workflows to every developer. So what I'm trying to get at is part of what we're doing is looking at the entire software development cycle, and then thinking about the amount of roles that are actually involved in what you can call, I guess, bespoke software development, right? So I have a conversation. I have a conversation with somebody and tell them that, I need to make a platform that's, for example, manages aviation systems, right? Whether it's like flight bookings, fleet management, crew management, all of that stuff. There's going to be a person one person's a sales guy. So he's going to be talking to me about from a sales angle. The other guy is a business analyst. So he's going to take down all the requirements for my project. Then it's going to go to pre-sales. Then it's going to go to dev. And then they're going to come back to me. So it's almost like you're playing Chinese whisper in a way where the idea kind of gets molded and snowballs and kind of gets lost in the sauce in that sense. Because of those handoffs. So with this entire workflow, we're eliminating those handoffs and we're upskilling let's say somebody who's a front-end developer who is just a front-end developer, but he's an amazing one, right? He or she, they're fantastic. But they don't know how to think like a software architect. So that's the piece that's missing. So what we're going to do with Hyper is you tell it what you want to make, and it's going to act as like a pre-sales agent almost. It's going to have a conversation with you. It's going to ask you the questions that it needs to ask you. It's going to take down, all the requirements of your project, and then it's going to build an actual database, a relational database, a schema out of your requirements. So immediately, all of that hard work that you were going to do to build that database and that schema, those relationships, all of
it's just out there.
Yeah,
I love it.
So,
I love it.
So that's also part of like the one of the core principles, I would say, behind what we're building. Yeah,
that's so cool. The when you're this is something I do with all my clients. If they're productpreneurs, my entrepreneurs know to do this in the first place, so it never comes. I don't get to have this conversation with entrepreneurs, right? But my productpreneurs, or even the guys that have been like small, medium businesses that haven't done it repeatedly, right? They kind of fell into it. They forgot kind of the history of it. Some, I have them go talk to like 3 people about their product idea. And I'm like, here's my challenge. Just talk to 3 people about what you think you're going to do and just interview them. Don't say it's your product. Right. Tell them you're hired to do this interview. You're just out to ask a few questions and get like 1 minute of somebody's time. And before you do that, write down your 5 questions, go through those with the person, make sure you get through as many of those as you can. And then after that interview, see if you're going to change your questions any for the next person. And then, change them because you will. Right. Or if you don't, God bless you, you found the right questions. Never had anybody have close to the same questions or even the same concepts of the product. It was so well flushed out after the first 3 that they normally keep going until 5 or 10.
Yeah.
Unless they're kind of like very bottled up about talking to people. But the general experience is you change so much your understanding of the problem set when you start talking to people. And this happens again once you have that product in front of them.
Yeah.
Right. Once you start getting feedback and start getting users and you start playing with it, all of a sudden you're like, all of these concepts, 2/3 of it or 1/3 was crap.
Yeah.
Right. And nobody could have ever pulled that out of your head, or you couldn't have ever pulled it out of your head until you played with it, until you saw somebody using it, or you give it to your 5-year-old or 21-year-old or whatever, your kids to play with. And that's why this is insanely exciting to do a whole database schema in your first conversation.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting. And I'm honestly, like, some of the things you just said, I think super important, right? I'm excited to get it in front of developers, and my goal as like thinking from a product kind of evangelist almost is that I want to build something that developers want to live in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to get to that point until and unless I actually show it to developers who are seasoned, have
Mm-hmm.
been developing engineering software for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people who are actually going to give me the feedback that I need in order to get this off the ground. So, I mean, asking the right questions, very difficult thing to do. I have experience being in product sales as well.
Uh-huh.
And even in those scenarios, like asking the right questions, even as a salesperson, is sometimes so difficult, right? You go in with a script, but then that's just never what it is.
Oh,
So
yeah. It's terrible when you're trying to stick to a script. You have to have that creative. Well, it depends what you're selling, right? Generally, generally you have to have that conversation. You have the script to fall back on.
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes I'm talking to a sales guy and I'm watching him read it. I'm like, come on, just read the whole thing to me. Just read very fast, right? I'll make some notes and then we'll circle back to something interesting because you're killing me.
Yeah. No, I think if product sales and services sales, worlds apart, right? I mean, services sales, I feel like I look at it from more of a consulting angle. I need to have conversations that are more in the idea space of things. They're not just, boxed into, X, Y, and Z is what we can do, take it or leave it. Kind of
it's not a screw. It's not a sprocket. Right?
Exactly.
Even if it's a rocket, it still has this purpose. When you start playing with ideas, services, anything that's not tangible, it can go in crazy ways.
Exactly. And you mentioned having a script versus the other side, which I've been on some amazing product calls with people who are, let's say, demoing to me, and you can tell that these folks have, again, been in the trenches. They're product evangelists before they're salespeople. They understand what it is they're selling, and they understand why they're selling it. Like, what's the need? It's not just checking boxes off a script and kind of going from there. So I think that's super important. And I know you mentioned, the importance of, really just kind of not having that approach. I think the best way to do that is to kind of immerse yourself. Let's say if you're building a rocket, you're a non-technical person, but you're going to be selling the rocket. You don't know anything about it. You got to tighten some screws. You got to understand how things work before you can actually come out in front of somebody and, have a whole conversation about it. So that's the way I think we should.
I love that idea. Right? I imagine you, not you, right? But you're like your younger brother going out. So I want to sell this rocket to people.
Yeah.
Goes grab something, breaks it.
Yeah.
In front of the engineer and says, "I'll fix it." Right.
Yeah.
Just to get an understanding of how some of it works, to get his hands in there and to play with the crew.
For sure. 100%.
I think that's kind of what makes Elon so successful. He gets in there. He's having fun. I don't know how smart he is. I'm terrible. I'm working on it, right? My wife is throwing rocks at me all day. My language is terrible. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
But he's in there and he's doing stuff. I don't know how genius or not he is, but he's asking those questions and he's getting in there and he's thinking through it, at least from a different perspective. And that way he's tying everything together, and is the best salesperson for his company, probably for that reason. Get in there and make it happen.
100%. And that also kind of sets the tone. I know we're kind of moving off of, the topic, but that also kind of sets the tone for the culture of whatever organization you're in, right? If the most senior person is actually going in and tightening the bolts on the rocket, then the engineers who are standing there, or the other salespeople or whatever, what's your excuse, right?
What's your excuse? Exactly.
you have to live it, you have to breathe it, you have to kind of obsess over it in a non-toxic way. I know that there's a lot of conversation around toxicity.
I'm all about toxicity, right? Like masculinity, being a man, being a woman, right? I'm a big fan of that. Go for it. Like, be that bad son of a gun. Be that really strong woman, right? Get out there, have fun, and be what you are. It's so much fun when you see a team that's sweating together, that's working together, and you didn't want to say it, right? Because it sounds like hustle culture, and people hate that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when you get out there and you're working hard together and you're building bonds, you're making that relationship, you're bouncing into each other, maybe getting angry or upset or having fun, right? You're going to go through all of that cycles when you get together. And this is what builds that relationship in the team cohesion.
Absolutely.
Nothing better. Like, in fact, a good fight is a good thing as long as there's some emotional maturity in there and there's some kind of boundaries on what's appropriate and love inside the group. But nothing better than that. Yeah, we ran off of IT, but I think this is a good conversation too, because
for sure. It's important.
Well, it's important, right? Because it's one thing to talk about the AI and how it's going to help the world. It's another thing to get into the nuts and bolts of actually creating things, of the hard work that goes into it to help people be successful. Because the AI side is kind of shiny, right? It's fast, it's shiny, it's sexy, right? It takes off all the hard work. I don't have to, my brain doesn't have to sweat very much. And when it does sweat, it's like amazing, right? So there it is. I feel like a superhero. But that's only part of the story, right? You're missing all that suffering of putting the stuff together, of doing the coding or doing the construction or making the product, getting it out there, taking the negative feedback, mixing it with the good feedback, ignoring some learning to ignore what feedback and what you need to dig into more. That's where the value and success is made, from what I've seen. And any tool that can help make that easier and to speed up the process is great, because it saves economy, right? It's like, if you're driving a car and you see an ambulance behind you, you can get in the way of that ambulance, not let it pass, or you can make space and let commerce and life happen, and let people save each other.
Exactly. It's about the mindset. And I mean, you mentioned constructive criticism and having those sometimes difficult conversations, but always going for the emotional maturity in those conversations is, I think, as important as you make it, right? I mean,
I think it's one of the biggest skills.
100%. It's actually something that I would say you learn. I mean, I don't have years and years of experience, but it is something that I still feel like, after having been in the industry for just short of a decade, it's something that I feel like I'm still kind of learning every day, and I think it's something that kind of never stops.
I'm usually a couple decades into the whole game, and it doesn't get easier at all. But what it does do is it gets better, because like when you're 5 years old, one thing can be said wrong and it scars you for life, right? By the time you're 20, it's like, okay, that's not even criticisms, right? Like I need some real criticism, because this was too much fluff. And you get better at it, and you build those calluses, but you also learn how to hear it and listen to it, and how to respond. It's that practice responding, taking action, that makes a difference. And you have to build this up, because you have to build up that knowledge of what works, what doesn't work, to experiment, to be brave, have fun with it, make it a game or make it serious. But you have to be ready to fail a little bit, learn fast from when you see failures, and see that, to recognize that coming up and to adjust path as needed.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that there's some things that can be taught, and there's some things that just kind of they can't be taught. They can be learned over time, but you can't force it down somebody's throat.
It's like making a fire with a stick, right? You say, it's just friction, stupid. right? It's friction. I know it's friction, right? But I have to build that callus before I can make the fire.
Exactly. And just setting up that learning environment at an early stage is super important as well. And that kind of made me think of just zooming out of Hyper and back into Code Ninja for a second. That kind of made me think of another thing that we're very much focused on this year, which is wow, I just really segued heavily
Carry it. Go with it.
Yeah, I apologize, but it just kind of made me think about it for a sec. But another thing that we're really doing is we're focusing a lot on the exploration of working with academics to accelerate the commercialization almost of AI research and academia, right? And one of the core things that we're really exploring within that is what does it take for us to work with academics, especially in some of the world's most underrepresented knowledge communities, such as the Middle East and South Asia, right? The way we like to call it, the global South, if you will. And
okay, I like that.
Yeah,
I grew up in North Carolina for a little bit, so I know you're talking about.
There you go, nice. But sort of using that to then solve some of the most important problems that businesses are facing today. And within that, we're currently collaborating with on the AI front, of course, with King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. That's in Saudi, and then LUMS, which is the leading technology university and research kind of engine here in Pakistan, which is fantastic to see. So those are just a couple of things I wanted to highlight away from work related stuff and just trying to also build that better future for the people around us, for sure.
It all starts with community, right? You rise, all ships rise together in the world that I see, right? You don't have to beat each other up to try to be more successful. And we're coming into a time when I'm happy to agree with you on your idea that ideas are the new moat.
Yeah,
right? I think they're the bar of entry, but I don't like a gate. But I don't think they're the moat. I think for me, the moat is how hard it is to execute that, what the resources you bring in, how fast you execute, your passion. Some of those things help build that moat also, and to democratize it also. So I think it's just exciting times. We're getting down to the last few minutes of the call. I'm going to ask you a very hard question. Okay, and then I'm going to give you the last word. And my hard question is, if you could recommend a book, podcast, or movie to help developers that are looking to grow, to kind of keep up into this, or to a young businessman or woman that's trying to figure out how to tie all this together with their idea, what would you recommend?
That's a tough question. Wow. There's so many of them out there. There are so many. I've been listening to quite a few, but I think I'm going to chicken out of this one a little bit. I'm going to say, instead of going for a particular podcast or a book, I would probably go for the space around MCP right now. I mean, I feel like that is something that I've been reading and kind of listening. And the more I read and listen, the more it's kind of making me feel like, oh my God, like this is going to
be huge.
This is going to be huge. Like it is. Like I was speaking with one of our co-founders, and he's also heading the effort around Hyper. So he kind of came up with this phrase. At least I think he did, but I hadn't heard it before him. But he said, "This is the last interface." right? And I think
I heard you use that term, and it might be fair.
I think that was like my aha moment around this entire space. And I was like, wow, like I really want to learn more about that. So that's something that I've been trying to do. But yeah, that's a bit of a chicken answer, but I hope.
I think it's a good answer. I think it's a good answer because it is the next step to the collective.
Yeah.
So it's going to tear down almost any kind of barrier I can think of. Let me give you the last word, and then we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think I actually loved this conversation. It was fantastic being here. I think that the way we're heading right now is it's with AI. There's like this thing that I have that our team actually has in our minds, which is every 15 days we kind of zoom out and wait, and we kind of look at where we're at, and we look at where things with AI are at.
Yep.
And we almost do that to make sure that we're not one step behind. So if you want to stay on the cutting edge at the front, I think having that mentality that, because it's like, you go into work one day and there'll be a completely new thing that you didn't know existed yesterday. And now you have to kind of use that to build on it. Right.
Yeah. I've seen businesses basically have to close because they're about halfway through and they made a bad choice to try to make a product that was unknown to them or anybody, just the next evolution of AI.
Exactly.
And they're like, we can never compete with this because it's being put out for free. Just it's going to save ourselves. We're going to close shop and, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And I just think that talking about the importance of that mindset today, it feels like you're constantly chasing in a sense, but then to avoid that feeling, I think zooming out for a second, just making sure that you're aligned with the pace that the world is moving at in this realm, I think is super helpful for me personally, at least. So that's something that I just thought I'd throw out there.
I love it, right? Because you're going to see every 15 days and maybe even every 7 days.
Yeah.
I need to apply this concept, or this concept is going to take my idea to the next level. We can get ahead just by paying attention to this.
Exactly. And there's times when nothing changes in 15 days, but you just know that, okay, you're on the cutting edge.
Yeah, you're on the edge. God bless you.
Woo.
Yeah, right. I wasn't replaced yet. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
I love it. Umar, thank you so much for joining me today. Absolute pleasure. I enjoyed this conversation so much.
Me too, Phil. Thank you so much. Fantastic meeting you finally. And I look forward to speaking to you again.
I am looking forward to hearing about Hyper when this is released. You call me.
Absolutely. You got it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.